Hi again, welcome back to hell. No, but really, welcome back. Finally making another video. Here I am. I said I was gonna do two before I started on the next 50 Shades video. I only did one because I'm a lazy shit, and also like all the other videos I wanted to do were like beauty channels style, like top 5 Lush products or whatever, and I kind of don't really have the right camera and mic set up to do that properly. I don't know, I'm putting those videos in the back of my mind for later. I do want to eventually get a different mic setup. YouTube is kind of low on my priority list right now, so it may not happen for a little while. And yeah, I did have one thing I wanted to address before we jump into this, into 50 Shades Freed. Thinking about what happened at the end of the last book between Christian and whatever the fuck her name is, Mrs. Robinson, Elena. I kind of was thinking about that relationship some more, and I did a little bit of research, and by research I mean I went onto the Wikipedia page for the first book, and it didn't really give me the information I was looking for, and then my copy of the first book is like buried in a box, probably in the attic somewhere, so I didn't feel like digging it out. So disclaimer, I did not actually do very thorough research at all, but if I remember correctly, when we first learned about the time when Christian was Elena's sub, if I remember correctly, he was something like 17, and she was, I think, in her 30s, and I don't think I properly addressed that at all before in this series, because when I started this series I was like in my early 20s, so I was a lot closer to 17 than I was to 30 is what I'm saying. So I don't think I really saw as much of a problem with that. Whereas now, at 25, when I'm closer to 30 than I am to 17, I am understanding that, to me, at this age, 17-year-olds look like actual children. They look like babies. So once I hit 30, I can only imagine. So I really have a much better understanding now that that kind of relationship is kind of inherently predatory. Now, that's not to say that age gaps in relationships are inherently bad or inherently predatory. Once you get into your 20s, and then, you know, the older person is in their 30s or 40s, whatever, at that point, you're both adults. But 17 to 30, just developmentally at that stage in your life, you as a 17-year-old, you may think you're like practically an adult, but trust me, you're not. There's just an inherent imbalance of power, imbalance of maturity. I'm not going to go too deep into it now because I don't want to take up too much time at the beginning of this video, but I'm now realizing that Anna disliking Elena, yeah, she kind of had a point. That kind of was an inherently unhealthy relationship. Just wanted to touch on that point. Yeah, let's get started. Final installment, 50 Shades Freed, and then we will be freed from this book series. We can move on to other awful literature. So, chapter 1. Oh, no, there's a prologue. So the prologue was basically Christian having a nightmare about when he was a little kid and his mom, I guess, overdosed, and he was just like stuck alone in the house with her for a while, and it's supposed to be like dramatic and horrible, but I don't think I've ever felt this little emotion when talking about something that actually is a terrible situation. But E.L. James is just really bad at eliciting any kind of sympathy for me from her characters, so. Okay, well, 7 pages in and I'm already bored because, of course, the book starts out on their honeymoon. Where the fuck are they? Monaco, on the beach. They're staying in a yacht, probably traveling around to other similarly sunny, beachy destinations, being rich and married. It's basically all just them flirting and being annoying, and Anna says, how would you feel if I went topless like the other women on the beach? And he says, displeased. I'm not very happy about you wearing so little right now. Which is the return of like, oh, I'm so possessive and I just want to hide my woman away so I'm the only one who can see her. And like, since when is that sexy or romantic or whatever effect we're going for right now? I don't want to have to like join a convent and be covered for everyone except my husband. That kind of possessiveness is not appealing to me. Really? Like, to me, the bigger compliment would be, look at my wife, she's so hot, I want to show her off to everyone. That feels like more of a, I love you and you're hot, and also I trust you to be out in the world and still have your own sexual agency, even though we're in a relationship together, versus I own you and I need to guard you jealously against all the other men who are threats to our relationship. And yeah, and she's just like, I sigh and shake my head. Oh, Christian, my possessive, jealous, control freak Christian. Like, she just lists all these things so casually. Those are not little flaws that you can just like laugh off as if they're endearing quirks or whatever. Those are not. That is so far past endearing quirk. That is into like should be deal breaker territory. Seriously? Really? Really right now? Yeah, my eyes only, Mrs. Gray. Fuck off. Okay, we have a description of, I don't know if she'd be a waitress or some kind of someone who works for this hotel that Christian just ordered like drinks and stuff from on the beach, like not in a restaurant, which is why I'm not sure what her title would be. Anyway, that's not the point. Point is, she's described as walking away, her tray held aloft, her high blonde ponytail swinging provocatively. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. I don't want to step on anybody else's kinks, but I don't think I have ever seen a ponytail behaving provocatively. And this is coming from someone who is very much attracted to people with nice hair, and like, I don't know if I'd quite call it a fetish, but like, nice hair is a good time. But I just don't, I don't know, I don't remember if I've talked about this before. I probably have. I'm just getting really tired of like almost every time Anna starts to like flirt with Christian and like initiate things, he says some sort of variant of like, you're so insatiable. And in this case, he's like, what sort of monster have I created? First of all, shut up. You did not gift her with a sex drive just because you took her virginity. Jesus Christ. None of this is your fault. You don't get credit for Anna enjoying sex and having a sex drive. Like, it's the 21st century. Women like sex too. This is not a secret. It's not taboo, or at least it fucking shouldn't be. Men aren't the only ones who like sex. Get over it. Like, stop it. So like, interspersed into all the shenanigans of their honeymoon, we're like flashing back to planning the wedding and then the wedding day, and we get to meet Christian's grandma briefly at the wedding reception. One further example of E.L. James can't make a character that's not a complete cliche. One of the first things she says to them is, now you two seriously need to get working on my great-grandkids. I won't last too much longer. Ha, ha, ha. So funny. So original. Still in a flashback to the wedding reception. They're like getting ready to leave. Christian's like, don't take your hair down, don't take the dress off. I want to be the one to undress you. And Anna's like not really getting it. Once again, I don't know, maybe I need to stop snapping this while I'm talking. Maybe we're just very different people, but like she's not understanding the like romance and this what he's trying to do. Whereas I'm like being undressed by the person I'm in a relationship with or sleeping with or whatever is like really important to me. And so like I totally get it that he wants to be the one to take off her wedding dress, because it's a big day. The dress is kind of symbolic, and like it's important. It's a significant milestone in their relationship, and it's like it's romantic, it's sexy, it's fine, Anna, just enjoy it. Pack your going away clothes, as opposed to, huh? Also, like, pack. Wouldn't they already be packed for their honeymoon? Fuck, dude, I don't know how weddings work. Oh, and then here's another thing that I need to rant about mainstream straight culture. She doesn't know where they're going on their honeymoon because Christian planned it all, and he's surprising her. Which, I guess, if that's your thing, if that's what you want to do, and you've discussed it beforehand, then fine. But to me, like, I want to have a say in where we go on our fucking honeymoon. And especially with someone you've only known for a fucking month, like, that's not really enough time to get to know where someone would actually enjoy going on vacation, especially when you have spent most of that month either fucking or fighting, and not a whole lot of time actually getting to know each other. It's not romantic to me. It's a recipe for the one who is being surprised with the honeymoon potentially being stuck for like however long, a few weeks, somewhere that they don't want to be. I don't think this fight actually happened on screen, so to speak, but they keep alluding to they had this huge fight about Anna not wanting to have to promise to obey Christian in her vows. Can we just like take a moment to appreciate the fact that they're supposed to be in a kinky relationship? They're not. They're not in a kinky relationship as of right now, and they have not been, I mean, ever really, but like the books keep saying they are, and yet she, as the sub, is not going to promise to obey him. Her mom's advice, just remember that men are from a different planet and you'll be fine. No. It's the 21st century. It's the modern age. We're done with the men and women from different planets bullshit. We're just done. That's done. It's gone. Goodbye. No more. So they leave the reception and drive to the airport where Christian's private jet is waiting for them to carry her over the threshold. He carries her out of the car and onto the private jet. And if that doesn't sum up how unnecessarily extra he is at every single turn, I don't know what will. Okay, brief side rant. So they're on the jet, and there's the pilot and then I guess the co-pilot, I don't know, a woman who is also in uniform, so she's someone. And Christian introduces her, and she is like blushing and whatever because Christian's just oh so hot and no one can resist him. Anna's like, another female completely captivated by my too handsome for his own good husband. Which, first of all, terrible fucking sentence, should never appear in an actually published novel ever. But second of all, I need to have a brief moment to rant about people who call human women females. I have never met someone who refers to women as females who didn't turn out to be a complete dickhead. It's dehumanizing. You call females of other species females. Human women are women. There's a word for that. Don't call us females. Everyone who I've met who's ever said that is a terrible person, usually very misogynistic. I've even like given a few people a chance after they said that, and I've like sat them down and talked to them about it, told them why I don't like it and why it's so dehumanizing, and first of all, they never get it. They'll swear up and down that they respect women and they're maybe even that they're feminists or whatever, and oh, I have a mother and I have a sister and whatever. That's a whole different rant entirely, but it just never fails. They always end up being total dickwads. And I can't fucking believe that I had to read that with my own two eyes in this book series. Oh, and of course there's a bedroom on the plane, and of course they're gonna go fuck in it. Aw, they're joining the Mile High Club together on their wedding night. So romantic. The Mile High Club. I've heard about this. As if it's some secret thing that nobody ever talks about, and not just like a joke that everybody makes every single time they step onto an airplane. I really don't understand this thing that's come up a few times now of like every time Christian touches Anna and she like moans or something, he like tells her to be quiet, basically. Like it's weird, and it's almost like he's like making her stay still and be quiet, and like almost like turning her into just his sex object, which is a thing. That's a kink thing that happens, and like that's great, but it's like it's not really in that context. It's supposed to be this like quiet, romantic, vanilla, sexy moment, and he just kind of doesn't want her to participate, which is patriarchal, misogynistic undertones there, my guy, my dude. Oh, and the other thing is, like, so much of dominance is enjoying doing that thing to your partner and also enjoying their reaction to it and enjoying that they're enjoying it. Because, hey, guess what? If you don't want them to enjoy it, that's not dominance, that's abuse. Just because, you know, I haven't said that yet in this book. So, like, if you're a dom but you don't want your sub to react at all to what you're doing to them, why are you here? What is the point? What are you doing? With infinite slowness is an actual phrase I just read with my own two eyes, and it is possibly the worst phrasing I have ever seen in any published novel ever. It just boggles the mind that this is what got past the editing process. This was allowed. I'm dressed in a tight blush pink satin corset. I like that she has to specify that her corset is tight, because as we all know, corsets are usually very loose fitting garments, so we just gotta make sure. So she's like in her corset with like garter straps and then thigh-high stockings, and so he like takes hold of each of the front garter straps, and he takes one in each hand and unhooks them from her stockings, both at once. On this week's edition of Unrealistic Things Done in Sex Scenes, I mean, maybe with a lot of practice, maybe you could do that. If any of you watching this has never worn a garter belt or any kind of lingerie with garter straps, those little things are a zillion times harder than like the bra clasp. It's supposed to hold on really tight to that stocking to hold it up. Even as a femme who, not recently, but in the past, semi-regularly worn garters, it's hard to do, even with practice. It takes two hands and a lot of fiddling to get that shit undone at the end of the day. I'm gonna chalk it up to things that would never actually happen in real life and are only happening in this scene because it's the mood and it's romantic. And so this is like unwrapping my Christmas presents. She says, "A present you've had already." He frowns in admonishment. "Oh no, baby, this time it's really mine." Because everyone knows your relationship doesn't actually really start until you're married. No matter how many years you've been together, living together, building a future together, building a life together, loving each other, you're not really in a relationship until you're married. Okay, so he's apparently wearing the same tie that he keeps like tying her up with. Like, that's the one he chose to wear on their wedding day, and that I do appreciate. That's cute. Maybe wedding corsets work different from like every single other corset I've ever seen ever, but apparently the hooks on this one are at her back instead of the standard corset procedure, which is hooks at the front, laces at the back. Whatever. Maybe E.L. James has never seen a corset before. Maybe she knows absolutely nothing about lingerie, which would be par for the course because she knows absolutely nothing about everything else that she's trying to write about in this series. Who knows? Where are we? Yada yada sex scene. Oh yeah, I don't think I mentioned before she flashed back to all that goodness. Christian went out into the ocean for a swim and she's like, haha, I'm gonna be all bratty and defiant and take off my top, even though he doesn't want me to. We come back to the present moment because he wakes her up and is like yelling at her like, what the fuck are you doing, blah blah blah. And you know, if this was all within a well negotiated parameters of actual proper DS dynamic and she was just being a brat and disobeying one of his orders and then gonna get a punishment for it and it was all consensual, that would be great. That would be a fun time. But he's like actually mad at her. This is gonna turn into an actual fight and it's probably gonna turn into some kind of sexual punishment later. Like I've said before, it's not a good idea to bring actual fights that you've had into punishments within the framework of BDSM because that can really foster negative mindsets for both of you and make the sub feel like they are actually like seriously being punished. That part of their kink dynamic starts to feel like a negative thing for them, which is the last thing that you want to do with anything about kink, because kink, like, ultimately kink is play and it's supposed to be a fun time for everyone all the time, and if it's not, then something is very wrong. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun place to pick up again next chapter. You know, for now, we made it through chapter 1. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. This is what I'm doing with my Valentine's Day, because I'm single as fuck and I have nothing better to do with myself today. But I'm not bitter. I've only been single for 2.5 years now. Fuck. Anyway, I hope y'all had a good-ish Valentine's Day. I don't know if you have someone to celebrate with. I hope you celebrated. Hope you had real good sex if you're so inclined to that sort of thing. Or otherwise, I hope you had a good Wednesday. Until next time, please remember that marriage is not the only way to validate a romantic relationship. It's not the be-all end-all of life or romance or human connection between two people. There are all kinds of ways to love people, and there are all kinds of relationships that you can have romantically and or sexually and or platonically and or whatever. Make space to like love the people around you, and you don't need a wedding ring and or a piece of paper to say that you love someone really truly from the bottom of your heart. Okay, love each other, be good to each other. Bye.